Geoff Shreeves. Hello, Geoff. How are we doing today?
Suze, I'm fine. It's just you that I'm worried about. Have you braced yourself for this? Have you booked in for therapy? He's going. This is not a Barcelona scenario. It's not a Bayern Munich scenario. There are no U-turns. Klopp is clopping on his horse. He's off. That's it. Goodbye. 9 years, 10 trophies. The love affair is well and truly over. And what a magnificent spectacle it's been for us in the media, for the fans, for the players. He really has been one of the great managers of the Premier League. So I hope he gets the send-off, which I'm sure he will, on Sunday against the Wolves. As for you, I just hope you've got a big box of Kleenex as you sit and watch the game.
I know. Big box of Kleenex. I'm going to need some, I like, like comfort food.
Also,
I like to eat my feelings in
right?
those.
Because you wanted a hug from Klopp.
I'll just grab Ian.
Yeah.
He'll console me, wipe my tears away.
What's comfort food at 11 a.m. on a Sunday?
Ooh.
Burger King. Get your Stevenage shirt on.
I need like a good breakfast, Sammy, just maybe a Crunch Wrap, breakfast Crunch Wrap. It could be a breakfast Crunch Wrap type of day for me.
I'll say make it a large.
All right, Geoff, let's chat Championship Sunday because the consensus here at the desk is that it's almost a foregone conclusion that Manchester City are going to win another title. How likely do you think it is that maybe we could see some dramatics on Championship Sunday, because it's produced some crazy moments before? What are your thoughts?
Well, you know the old saying, it's not all over till the fat lady sings, but I'd say she's got her costume on, she's got her head back, she's cleared her throat, and she's about to open her mouth. I just really cannot see anything other than Manchester City being crowned champions for the 4th consecutive season, which in itself is an absolutely astonishing achievement. It has never, ever been done before. And I think we've kind of all fallen into this, we're used to City winning, but nobody has ever done this. Not the great Arsenal sides, not Mourinho's Chelsea, not Manchester United under Sir Alex Ferguson. This really is history in the making. And I just do not think they're going to let it slip from their grasp because, okay, look, you always have the caveat, you don't know what's going to happen in football. Anything can happen. And we've seen it before in title matches where a team with seemingly nothing to play for other than the professional pride puts the spoke in the wheel. I just don't see it happening. They're too good. They're too powerful for West Ham. And to be honest with you, I don't think Arsenal beating Everton is necessarily a foregone conclusion because Everton are on a real run right now. And Sean Dyche insists that his players play with great pride at all times, regardless of the occasion. So they're going to want to go out on a high as well. So all those factors together, don't see it happening, but you never know.
You don't know, Geoff. But one question this raises in my mind is the prospect of winning 4 Premier Leagues in a row. It's never happened before, as you mentioned. What does this say about the Premier League? What does it say? A lot of jeering goes towards some of the other leagues, especially like your Liga and your Bundesliga prior to this season, for having one team that seemingly can't be beat. That wins it every year. Are we heading in that direction? What does this say about Premier League?
Yeah, I think it's a good point, Alexis, in that when one team dominates, people tend to say, well, is this the time where the league has gone stale? Is this something now that is irretrievable? And right now, Manchester City do look unstoppable. But the margins are getting much, much closer. A lot of the leagues you alluded to there, often the teams were just dominating. I mean, Germany this year is just an incredible story, an absolutely wonderful story. So I don't think we're in that territory yet. I don't think we are there. If this continues for the next couple of seasons, then I think, if you like, the credibility, or indeed the interest in the Premier League around the world would be damaged. But other clubs are coming up to the mark. We're in a strange time at the moment because we don't really understand what's happening with the financial situation, with what clubs can spend, what they can't spend. Of course, there's the investigation as well. So it's not necessarily not a level playing field. It's just not necessarily a field that everybody totally gets as to what the parameters are, as to what they can do. But no, I think that you have to salute, as I said earlier, you have to salute what Manchester City have done because it is excellence in all of its forms, the way they play and the way they overcome any adversity that is thrown their way. Look, if they won the league 2 or 3 weeks ago and they're going to squish it 10, 12, however many points, yes, I think that question comes into play. But the fact that it goes to the last day, Alexis, I think that's hugely important, and that completely underlines the credibility of the challenge that is the Premier League.
So, Geoff, this leads me to asking you the question we're all hoping and wondering is...
Will you go to prom with Charlie?
Yes. If there is a way for West Ham to get it done, how do you see it happening? Who is the player or players that step up for West Ham to make this miracle come true for Arsenal supporters around the world?
Well, I think the hope you'd have to give them, Charlie, is that Manchester City do concede goals. You know, Arsenal have got more clean sheets than them. That's well publicised. This Manchester City side will give you a chance. Against that, unfortunately, when you lose a goalkeeper like Ederson, you think, great, one of the world's great goalkeepers is out. So they're going with their reserve goalkeeper, who's not even in his international squad. But Stefan Ortega, my word. I mean, he was absolutely sensational, wasn't he, against Tottenham? Man of the match, and he came on late in the second half. So that just goes to show how good the quality that they have is in depth. OK, but let's go back to West Ham. They've got goal scorers. We all know about Jared Bowen. He can pop up anywhere. In Mohamed Kudus, they have a terrific player. And Paquetá, also, he can supply the ammunition too. I think the one thing I would give Arsenal fans hope with is that West Ham can go there and there is no pressure on them whatsoever. There's no pressure on their manager, David Moyes. He's leaving. So it's not as though he needs a result for him to secure his future. That is a decision taken. But again, he's very, very similar to Sean Dyche. He is, I don't like the term old school. I would say it's deeply ingrained in him. Traditional, but also fiercely proud of his work ethic and his team's work ethic as well. They will give everything they've got. And Charlie, you know yourself, when you're playing in a game where there is no pressure on you, it can go one of two ways. You can switch off and you're not quite at it. You're not winning the duels. You're not there for the 50-50s. You're not closing down as much. Or you think, do you know what? I'm going to put myself on the stage here. Let's have a right go. We can spoil this party. And there's this kind of perverse thing where a team and individual players love to completely upset the apple cart, and people turn around and say, I can't believe that happened. I mean, it's happened before. And it was West Ham all those years ago at home to Manchester United. They stopped Manchester United from scoring, and that's what won Blackburn the title. It was an extraordinary day. West Ham put in an unbelievable effort. It could happen again. It could happen.
Players need to play for a contract. I'll tell you that right now. When you're talking about Mohamed Kudus and Paquetá and Jared Bowen, these are players who could be sold for a large sum. And it's matches like this that you have to show up and show that, hey, I can play at this stage and I can play at this level, and I'll prove it to you. Otherwise, you got to wait till next year to don that West Ham kit again.
Yeah, it's a shop window on the world stage.
Oof.
Geoff, I want to ask you on the other side of the table questions about the relegation teams, because we all but have, really. All the three teams, right? Luton has to overpass. Yeah, it's virtually impossible. The three teams that got promoted are getting relegated, if I'm not mistaken, now that I think of it.
You're correct.
How do you assess these teams that made it up and then it's just back down?
I think, Nico, they're different stories, all three of them. Sheffield United, their off-field problems came to light on the pitch. That's just been a complete mess from day one. They switched manager midway through the season. It didn't really make any difference whatsoever, despite Chris Wilder's connection with the club and the gusto and the spirit he brought with him. They simply didn't have enough good players, and they never really threatened anybody, did they? Burnley, well, Vincent Kompany had a style of football which he stuck to, and other than, if you like, a flicker of life towards the end, the flame was extinguished fairly early for most people observing Burnley. They gave it a go, and they stayed true to their principles. The question mark is there, were their players good enough to execute that system against Premier League opposition? Should they have been more pragmatic, as other teams have done who have survived? Luton Town, I'm sorry, I'm just giving them a free pass, whatever they do. They spent absolutely no money whatsoever. They didn't even spend dollars compared to the other multi-millions. They were spending cents. They spent absolutely no money whatsoever. I think they had a fantastic campaign. They fought with pride. What happened with their captain, Tom Lockyer, united them even more as a club. And they fell just short. But I think they'll regroup. I mean, Luton Town in particular, going back to the Championship, they've got their new ground, which they won't be in next season, maybe the season after. They banked a huge amount of money from the sale of some land that they owned. And of course, all three clubs have their parachute payment as well, going into the Championship. But I would not have big money on all three of them coming straight back. Certainly not. Because the Championship, Nico, is an absolute slog. A slog. And other Championship sides will also have regrouped. There's some good coaches in that division now as well. And they'll be having a right go too. So it's going to be difficult for them. But I don't feel necessarily that, I mean, if you look at all three, they were amongst the favourites to go back down anyway. And so it's been proven.